Welcome to today's edition of Weather to Watch. It is the 7th of May, 2025, and we've got lazy lows still around the U.S. and a big change in the weather that will lead to severe storms next week. Well, good afternoon, everyone. There is one storm system hogging all the attention, and it's this slow spiral here over Kansas and Oklahoma. We'll dive in a little deeper on that. Meanwhile, the weather over the northern plains is delightful, quiet. Even the Northeast is improving now with that one storm system lifting out of that part of the country, and much of the West is enjoying pretty quiet, tranquil weather as well. We'll take a look at the 500 millibar flow. Sure enough, there's that low that's been taking its sweet time moving across the central United States. This one in the Northeast finally is part of the flow, so it's going to get ejected out of there pretty quickly now. And if we look off to the west, we really don't see anything largely impactful coming ashore for a while. So it looks like this is the main player and will be for the next couple of days. I zoomed in on the visible satellite loop to show you this swirl of clouds right here. If you're wondering what that green is right there, that's the Storm Prediction Center's outline of a 2% tornado risk that was issued this morning, and they left it up. And the reason for that, if you look here really closely, you'll see some thunderstorms bubbling up right here, and the jet stream winds are blowing the tops off of those pretty quickly, actually, as winds circulate around this low. And what is going on here is we have unstable air where there are breaks in the clouds. So the ground is being heated up, and there's very cold air aloft. This leads to something called a low-topped supercell. And low-top supercells are not traditional in the sense that they don't go towering up into the atmosphere. And until recently, they weren't really truly understood. But in recent decades, we've really come to appreciate the fact that these can generate weak tornadoes sometimes. And if we take a look at the radar that I snapped here, you'll see a couple of showers and thunderstorms south of Tulsa, right in that area, and some more out to the west of Tulsa. So far, none of those have been severe thunderstorm warned. But if you really wanted to see a brief funnel and you went out there, you might actually get a chance at seeing one. And this is being recorded about 4:30 in the afternoon or so. So after the heating of the sun goes down, this threat diminishes very, very quickly. Well, aside from the tornado risk, we do have just kind of a general thunderstorm risk in that same kind of area that encroaches into southwest Missouri and western and northwestern Arkansas. And again, the diminished threat for that greatly after sunset. And still some weather might be occurring on the east coast of Florida, southeast coast of Georgia. And as I already showed you, we have that 2% tornado risk that encompasses all of this area here until about sunset. And then if we look at tomorrow's forecast, that low continues its lazy trek. So we have a level 1 and 2 risk in a pretty large area with the greatest threat around Knoxville, Tennessee, right over to Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, the backside of that slow swirl of a low pressure center has produced some pretty good snows. Here's Denver right here, and this is 24-hour snowfall totals, including a couple of places that got over a foot and some places that were over a foot and a half of snow in the mountains. But some of this was in the foothills just outside of Denver as well. And if I kind of skirt southward a little bit, you got some accumulations around Colorado Springs, anywhere from 16.5 inches in some of the mountain areas to more like about 1.5 to 3 inches of snow in the lower elevations. 3-4 inch totals common down to the south. Again, in the lower elevations in the mountainous areas, though, there's a 13-inch total. So yeah, there are some places where snow can still hang on. Few and far between, but there's one example anyway. Total rainfall expected over the next 7 days has now shifted its emphasis. We still need some in the Northeast, and they're going to get a little bit. The purple is basically an inch and a half, and that red right there is 3 in a couple of places around Connecticut. But certainly the lion's share of all the rainfall over the next 7 days is going to be in the Carolinas, Georgia, into parts of Alabama, and much of Florida. Again, if you see the red, that's 3, and these yellowish colors are 4, 5, even 7 inches of rain in some areas over the next 7 days. If we took a look at the previous last 7 days, all the rainfall has tracked from Colorado down to Louisiana, and that was a well-forecast system. Actually, it did exactly what the forecasts were intending and we're looking at. So that verified, as we say in meteorological circles, pretty well. Let's switch to temperature real quick, and I want to show you today's temperature departure. So we still have this large area here where the readings are below normal. In some cases, as much as 15 to 17 degrees below the normal high for this time of year. Quite the opposite, just completely flipped that coin, and the northern plains are seeing about the same change, only on the plus side of things. If we take a look for the next couple of days, here's the forecast temperature pattern for Friday. The individual readings are highs, so in the lower 80s in the Dakotas and much of Minnesota, but still a big patch of below normal indicated by the green and the blue. High temperatures only in the 50s in parts of New England, even New York State, only 54 in Albany on Friday. Meanwhile, it's going to be 102 in the valleys of Southern California, and in the California capital, 95 degrees. And so pretty hot out there. Now, if we shift ahead to the weekend, Sunday, it gets into the 90s in the high plains. Still the cooling effects of that stretched out, slow-moving low in the south. And then finally, by Tuesday, that begins to wear off, only affecting areas of Georgia and Florida. The northern plains are really heating up, and New England does a reversal with highs close to 80 degrees in parts of that region. And then the next storm trying to come ashore, and that's going to have some severe weather implications for next week in the plains. But you're going to see the cooling effects of that change in the jet stream. Let's take a look at that, by the way. We're looking at ensemble models again. I just picked the GFS, the American version of this, and it initializes, as you see there, with that low over the Oklahoma-Kansas border. No big surprise there. 500 millibars is what we're looking at, so that's the current feature of interest. And notice over the next couple of days how it is just simply hard to get rid of these cutoff lows. If I advance this, that one gets sheared off, but then a new one is forecast to form over Louisiana. That's why we saw those cold temperatures down that way. Get rid of that drawing there. Or not cold, but at least below normal temperatures along the Gulf Coast, as that thing continues to spin over one place pretty much. And this is now Monday morning right here, and it's still there, actually lifting north a little bit. So all this area here is going to be subjected to, below normal, cooler than normal temperatures, basically. All this area right here until this thing gets out of here. Meanwhile, stronger jet stream winds are coming into the into the western U.S., and that's going to have implications. Let's see how that all pans out. So that particular wave of energy might actually go ahead and fire some severe weather potential across the northern plains. This is on Tuesday in the middle of the day. And with the stronger winds coming in down here through the Four Corners region. And then if we advance this further, so basically Wednesday through Friday, it looks like a severe weather episode. So here is Wednesday afternoon with the strong jet stream winds nosing into unstable air. So anything out here is a severe weather threat, basically. And if we go ahead to the day after that, again, this is the ensemble mean, so it's kind of experiencing a little bit of averaging. The deterministic models, the exact runs for each time we do this, would probably show a little more detail, but may not be as accurate. So again, here on Thursday, large jet stream flow. It's anybody's guess as to where severe weather will break out. But if that's an exact duplicate, then the best chances are there and down there, if that's exactly how 500 millibars is going to look by then. And then we go to, again, Friday, that's right there, still have a pretty strong jet stream flow. So that period, Wednesday through Friday, does look like severe weather episodes will be forthcoming. In fact, to the point where we might get some notoriety out of that with the SPC dropping the hammer on some 15% chances. Certainly, maybe not tomorrow morning, but certainly maybe by Friday morning, they'll start taking a look at that. And I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some of those for that period next week. Final two maps, May 13th through the 17th, the 6 to 10 day temperature departure shows, as we kind of saw, much of the central and eastern U.S. is looking for a high probability of being above normal through that time period. And then the precipitation really reaches quite an extreme in Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, the Dakotas, and kind of lodging down a little bit into the Great Plains, and still the lingering effects of a stalled low around the Carolinas. Thanks for watching this edition of Weather to Watch. It comes out every other day, or as the weather necessitates. Please remember to share this with your friends, subscribe to the channel, or at the very least, like what you just watched. Thanks.